All right, now let's open it up to questions to hear what you guys might want to ask. Yes, with the man holding my book, you definitely get to go first.
You get an A+.
Yes.
So the B word came up once during this entire conversation, so I'm curious to know from each of you what you think the role of your organizational brand plays within your corporate culture.
Ooh, marketing questions.
Let's start with the IT guy.
Oh, good question.
No, I'm kidding. Whoever wants to start.
So talent brand means everything. Yeah. And so how you differentiate in the market, how you recruit, what's your story that you're telling, how do you sell your purpose? So what we're seeing in the marketplace right now, especially in several different industries, financial being one that's very obvious for me, being a financial institute since '08 sucks. So they've got to be a purpose-driven organization, and they're looking at what do they do to impact the world in a better way and to bring in the talent that they need, especially technology talent. So your brand and what you promise to your employees matters. And if you don't deliver on that promise, you will have the highest turnover in year one. I mean, it's guaranteed. So it's got to be intentional. It's got to be authentic. It's got to be transparent, else don't say it.
I find it's really interesting because we recruit mainly millennials. We have over 50% of our employees are millennials, and they actually make career decisions and choices based on your corporate brand. What do you stand for? Do you do good in the world?
Yep.
You know, your corporate governance. They're actually starting to look at those things. And when I came out of college, I was looking for who was going to pay me the most money. I mean, honestly, I was not making decisions based on whether we were good corporate citizens and responsible and gave back to our community and took care of the environment. But that's becoming really important, and that's so much of our brand to attract the people we're trying to get into the business.
Yeah, I have a hard time. Sorry, go ahead.
As a smaller company, it's, you know, we don't have the LinkedIn brand or Cisco. I mean, we don't have any of that. So the brand becomes even huger. How do we have a louder voice so that somebody notices us amongst, 20,000 person companies? So it's huge.
The voice is the voice of honesty.
Authenticity.
Authenticity. Tell them what's real. When I interviewed for Sugar, I interviewed with a CFO called Andy Schmeiz. He said, IT's broken. I smiled and I said, how badly? He said, oh, you don't want to know. Which personally got me excited, but he told me the truth. And then he supported me through that first year's journey of, oh my God, he wasn't lying. This is a right royal mess. And now I got to fix it. But he supported that. So he told me the reality of it. This is what you're getting into. He even said, here's the personalities you're going to deal with above your pay grade. And here's how I suggest you interact with them. If you want money, come and see me. The rest is for everybody else. And then guided me through that process. So in essence of the word brand, he did that internally. And that was a great benchmark for me to create a successful company.
That's a great story because I think a lot of times when we interview for organizations, they say, oh yeah, we have great work-life balance. You'll work 40 hours a week. Everybody's happy. Everybody loves you. And then you show up and you're like, 70 hours your first week, and there's bureaucracy and people are yelling at you, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? So I think that level of honesty and transparency, just let people know, if they're going to be working hard, if there's a lot of office politics, if something is broken, that's what they're going to be dealing with up front. So I love that story.
I think you have a problem if they're not one and the same. They're definitely interwoven. I think there's a credibility hit for what you just described, but they feed one another. And together, I think they really describe who you are.
We had a great example of this. And when you're a consumer product, sometimes it's easier because individual people can relate to what you're doing. We do a lot of giving back programs, and one of the people on my team, because we own the giving back, met Jack Antonoff. It's some event, and Jack Antonoff is a musician, a band member of Bleachers and Fun. And he created an allied coalition which supports LGBTQ youth in the LA area. And he said, why don't we do a giving back event together? So we went down there, we did an event during the day, and then he took some of our people to an event at the Grammy Museum, which was filled with people from the music industry, and he's talking about how great Pandora is and what good people, are at Pandora. And this is when, sometimes there's a lot of conflict in the music industry about streaming and how much artists are getting paid by streaming services. So this is one where, those two things came together in a really magical way.
Now we have sites like Glassdoor where you have so much level of transparency where if a company tells you it's such a wonderful place to work and you go on Glassdoor and it's got 1 star, you're like, wait a minute, something's not right here. All right, I have a question from Periscope that somebody asked, and maybe 1 or 2 people can answer this one. How can managers use social tools to engage their direct reports in a meaningful way? So as leaders of your organizations, do you ever use these social and collaborative technologies to...
That is a loaded question.
I didn't ask it.
We actually rolled Jive out today at 10 a.m. We have a great... Yeah, I'm glad you like me now, right? We have a great workforce of a lot of talented people, but we were missing some form of link. Now, what somebody had said at the beginning of this is, oh, this is the Facebook for business. Oh, my God, no. Please don't tell me that. And in explaining the story of what do I want to do, I want to get people talking to each other. Not just in the office, but everywhere else.
Yeah.
So I had 3 business leaders come into my office a year ago and say, we're broken. We need some tool to collaborate. So we went out and checked out a few. And Jive won, but 10 a.m. today, we rolled it out. I'm looking at the stats thinking, come on, Graph, you need to grow, you need to grow. And I was told, you need to wait a week at least before you see that come up. But the buzz is already there.
A collaboration site like that, it helps all styles. Like introverts will find their voice on that site way more than a group of 30 people.
Yes.
So I think that's an amazing tool for them.
I'll tell you how it goes in a month.
Or me,
Yeah.
should I say.
I had sorry, it'll be a really non-business example. So we have our real-time communication product, and I've got my admin got engaged over the weekend. And she's very shy, so she didn't want to put it out. So I put out the picture of her at Disneyland with Minnie Mouse ears on, with the, on the knee, the husband-to-be on the knee, and put that out to the whole department. That then, for the next half an hour, it's called chime, so we chime back and forth. So everybody's chiming her gifts and clapping and emojis, and that team is in Israel, in EMEA, in Portland, remote, and in the Bay Area. So with one simple tool, I touched the whole department. The department was a team.
Makes them feel good.
We celebrated. So as a manager, I did that, and I could have done the same thing over a work celebration or anything that was business related, but it was a fun thing that happened today.
Yeah. You had a question?
I was wondering what the structure, or if you have somebody dedicated to social media in the human resource department or in talent acquisition.
So we do. And we've had someone in this role now for, I want to say, about 3 years. And it was important for us to actually train our team on social media. And so we had social media certification. And it was unbelievable to see the impact of that. So the network of the team that went through this training grew by 400%. We did a lot of work to, as an example, update the LinkedIn profiles of our team.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And we thought it was so important for people to think about how they're positioned in their profile externally. And if you think about it, that is so different from where we would have been like 10 years ago, which is like you don't want your people to put themselves out there. So it's such a shift for us. But yeah, absolutely.
I'm not in HR, so I can't answer that one.
We do. We have actually sort of marketing events people in HR as well as social collaboration people.
So they're connected.
Yes.
So I have another question from Periscope, which is, with 24/7 connectivity, is the expectation that I'm always supposed to respond? And I'll give you my 2 cents on that, and then we can open it up to you. So my philosophy is connectivity doesn't mean availability, right? Just because you're connected doesn't mean you always have to be available. And I think there is part responsibility on behalf of the executives at organizations to respect the boundaries of employees. But part of it is the responsibility of employees to let executives know that some sort of boundaries do exist, and to have that kind of dialogue and go back and forth. But I firmly believe that connectivity doesn't always mean availability. And in a world where we always have Twitter and text messaging and Jive, it's very hard to not go to sleep with your phone and to wake up with your phone. So what do you guys think? With all these technologies, how do you manage the connectivity versus availability challenge?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope because everybody walks around with their iPhones, and you could literally be available 24/7 now. So you have to lead by example, I think. So I try with my team to let them know that Friday night at 6 o'clock, I don't respond again until late Sunday. That there is a boundary there. And I think they follow in my footsteps. Because if I'm not asking them questions over the weekend, it gives them some freedom not to have to be checking their emails all weekend. And I find that the rest of our executive team does the same thing. We check out on Friday night, which is a wonderful part of NetSuite culture because I never experienced that previously. It was always like the weekends, you had to be checking all the time too.
You find that there's some fear in people not answering the email. I send out emails sometimes at the weekend because that's what I'm thinking, but I purposely put on there for Monday. Or don't do this till Monday. Otherwise I'll forget. I could take notes, but I just got to get it out there. But there's also fear that, the head IT just sent me an email, I got to answer. Do you find that in HR, that fear actually drives some of that?
It depends on someone's maturity in their career path, right? Because you have a shadow. Every leader has a shadow. And so you sending it out sends a ripple effect, and you got to be responsible for that ripple effect. I think that if it can wait till Monday, you can time your email to go out on Monday. Yeah. You can do a batch. Let it go out. Send the right message. I think that they look up and watch us. And if you send the wrong signal, they're going to react. And I need my harmony. And it was harder when I was more junior in my career. But when I was raising my family, I'd leave midday because my son got to pitch in a baseball game. And I'm like, got to leave the meeting. My husband just called me. My son's pitching in the game. I got to go. And I'm walking out of the room going, they're going to just I'm waiting for the arrows to hit me, And I got out of the room and no one hit me. And then I watched a great game. My son pitched a great game. And I got online around 7:30 that night. And everyone's like, did he win? How'd he do? And I'm like, this is awesome. I never had that freedom. I was waiting to be, crucified for that moment. And when I came back to the office the next day, I had a small team of 5 people. And they said, thank you so much for doing that for me. I was worried about my daughter's, ballerina debut. I was worried about this, and you show me how to do that with grace. So I think we all model it.
It's so funny because I think we do have an obligation to say where we're going at this level. And so I will find myself saying things like, I'm going to a recital because I want other people to be able to say that without the cringe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that the Chief Human Resource Officer at Accenture, Ellen Shook, she actually has a flip phone. So she has 2 phones. She has a smartphone and she has a flip phone. And Pat, I'm sure you know this because you know Ellen. Oh, you do the same thing?
Yeah, well, she and Ariana made me get a flip phone because I had a problem with sleeping at night. So the 3 of us met. I'm going to tell your story. And I don't
go, please tell it.
So I went, I was in New York about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I love Ellen Shook. Ellen's an amazing woman. And we had dinner with Ariana and her sister Agabi, and we were talking, and Ariana is all about thrive and getting rest and getting good balance and all that. And I'm like, I love my 8 hours of sleep. Like, amen on the 8 hours. Yeah, right? Woo! 7, I can function. Below 7, don't really, I manage my day, but it's not a good day. And 2 of those ain't pretty. And so I was really proud that I had gotten this rhythm of kind of carving out my 8 hours. And so we're all like, yay. And I'm like, but I confessed in this group of women my inability to turn off my cell phone next to my bed because my 2 boys are in college. What if they text me? What if they're in jail? That's my nightmare. 2 a.m. call, jail call. I need to look at my phone. I've never had that call, by the way. I'm just saying. But I'm like, I peek, I open it up, no text, they're not in jail. But my brain starts working. I, use the restroom. I come back, I'm like, and I lose an hour, right? And so they were like, the flip phone. You got the flip phone. Put that other device away. Do they have your home number? Do they have this, bat cell phone, flip phone? That's the only phone you need by your bed. That's the only people that you care about, your CEO, your kids, that's it.
The bat phone.
The bat phone. And I got the bat phone. And I'm like, I'm sleeping my 8 hours.
Yeah.
And they're still not in jail, by the way.
Well, that's good. That's good. So we'll do one more question, and then I was told that the desserts are ready, and I have a huge sweet tooth, so we'll do one more. Oh, man. You guys all have your hands up. How am I going to decide? Okay, go ahead.
Well, thank you. First, I want to thank all the panelists. It's been incredibly enlightening. Really, it has. So I'm a professional soft skills trainer, and I've heard all of you talking about connection. If they don't like me, they're not going to stay, and all of these different things that you're talking about. And as someone who runs their own training company, I am also up on a stage a lot competing with background noise like leaf blowers and vacuum cleaners. But in addition to that, what is the role for on-site soft skills training? You have all these people coming in, they're in separate houses, and then they have to come in and talk.
Yep.
You have the millennial generation that's doing so much more online, so much more on screens. And we're not teaching interpersonal skills in grammar school, junior high school, or even college a lot of the time. And then I have clients come to me and say, yeah, well, can you build me a webinar on conflict resolution? Well, no, actually, because you need to learn how, yes, I can, but to learn how to do people, you need to connect with people. So what do you see as the future of professional development training being in leadership, customer service, conflict resolution, frontline supervisors, all of that going forward, especially in your particular industry?
It's a good question. Bringing the human aspect back to the company instead of just relying so much on tech. Anybody want to take a stab at that one?
We do that.
Yeah, mine's mindfulness for LinkedIn. Just being mindful, conscious business mindfulness, how to listen.
How are you teaching that too?
In tag teams, we have leaders teaching leaders. We have different experts come in and teach meditation. We give meditation tools. We have meditation lunch hours where different people that do it can host it. What we're trying to do is teach the human to have a great conversation. That's foundational.
We like the leaders teaching leaders. I think the ability to learn from one another is so important. We have a series where leaders kind of get up and talk about some of the biggest ahas that they've had or some of the biggest mistakes that they've made. There's so much that you can get from that. I think the other thing that I would say is the type of training that you're talking about embedded into the work, I think is really important for us as well. And so we have programs, as an example, for folks coming out of college where you're embedding the learning around how to do the work together with the connection part of it as well. And so I think that has been meaningful for us.
Well, I would add on to that. I have two children, a 10 and a 12-year-old, and at the school they attend, they really focus on something called project-based learning. And I see in the future project-based learning applied in the workplace, much like what you're saying. So you're learning the soft skills, you're learning the negotiation, you're learning conflict resolution, but it's also in the context of a project that you're working on together. That's where there's a need to really bring that concept into the business world and like what they're doing in my kids' school, but have adults do that too. I think there's so much to be learned from that.
Yeah, really hands-on.
Yeah.
Wow, my kids are 30 and 27. Boy, do I feel old right about it. We have a training university where we're doing, it's not total soft skills. It's more of how to manage your manager, how to manage or better manage your time, almost like a project. So more day-to-day skills. I'd personally like to see more soft skills training to the point of, are those C-levels untouchable? No, because they're going to come and talk to you about it. When I do off-sites with my staff, I asked our CEO, can you come and do a talk with us? And he said, what subject? You make it up, it's fine. He's a public speaker. And I have a group of very technical people, 34 technical people. He walked in jeans and a T-shirt, which he doesn't often do. And actually, it wasn't a T-shirt, it was a shirt, but he doesn't often do that. And he said, did you know I started my life in Stanford doing systems administration? He brought them in at that level, brought them through his journey to becoming a CEO. He's also an introvert. That sort of thing had a lot of value in the soft skills thing, saying, I'm human. Sometimes I don't talk to you because my brain's that full, I forget what to say, and maybe I'm a little bit busy and didn't see you walking down the path. That sort of thing to me. Well, we don't do the actual soft skills training, but we try to bring that in.
Yeah, that's great. All right, well, before I get the hook, why don't we give our panelists a big round of applause? So to keep the discussion going, again, there is a community. You can see the URL in the pamphlets over there. It's a Jive community where you can keep the conversations going. Also, all of their Twitter handles are listed in the pamphlet, so find them and stalk them on Twitter and harass them there all you want. And if you want to listen to some of the podcasts I've done with some of the folks up here, my website is thefutureorganization.com, and there's a podcast tab, and you will hear podcasts with Pat, you'll hear podcasts with Kristen, and soon to be coming with Fran, with Kathy, and hopefully even with Dean. So thank you everybody very much for coming, and now we're going to have desserts and we can keep talking and networking. Thank you.